Would you like to turn this little pot into this little pot? Well, stay with me to find out how. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy this video. Today we're going to use a terracotta pot, some acrylic paint and 2 napkins to create this lovely little scene. The 2 napkins are from NinnysNapkins, and if you look in the description below you will find a discount code and a link to Ninny's website. The name of the napkins and the colours I've used today will appear on the screen as I use them. Step 1, we're going to paint the bottom of the pot with white acrylic paint. I just use a filbert brush to do that, and we just cover the whole area below the rim. As you can see, it's not real even. You can see the brush strokes and the pot through it, so you'll need more than one coat to get this a nice even coverage. Now I'm going to use a sponge, and I've chosen the finer one of the two, to give the last coat on the pot. This gives it a slightly textured finish but not too rough, and it gives it an even all over white finish. This little frog napkin has large frogs on it, and therefore it's quite easy to cut out with a pair of scissors. So that's what I do with these 2 frogs. Then I lay out the plastic, spray it with water, peel off the layers off the back of the frog, and place the frog face down into the water. I then give it another spray to get it completely wet. I use a soft bristle brush to take out the bubbles, to take out the wrinkles and creases, and if it's folded over in any places, I use the soft bristles to separate that as well. The more water you have down there, the easier it is to float your frog out into the position that you want it. Once the frog is completely saturated and sitting flat, I spray the pot all over where I want to put the napkin, and then I turn the frog over with the back of the frog facing the pot. Place it on the pot in the position I want it, and then rub it all over firmly to get rid of any water that might be underneath that frog, and adhere it firmly to the pot. Once it's firmly adhered to the pot, I then gently peel off the plastic, leaving the frog on the pot. And then I do the same with the second frog on the opposite side of the pot. We're now going to separate all the pieces of the napkin that we want to use on the pot. I'm just using a pair of scissors to separate all these pieces this time, because as you can see on the napkin, a lot of these pieces overlap each other, and if I'm going to get round each of them, I can't have that white edge because some of those edges will be colours from the pieces I don't want. So it's much easier in this particular case to use a pair of scissors and cut each of the pieces individually. I'm going to cut way more than I think I need so that I can have a lot of flexibility in laying out my little scene. I don't peel off the layers of napkin until I finish cutting, so it gives me a firmer surface to be cutting around. Now we're going to make the little scene in between the frogs using the dragonflies and the flowers. And I need to peel the backing, the layers off those little pieces, and then roughly work out where I want each of those pieces to go. you compare some of the flowers to the original flowers on the napkin, you'll find that I've cut away some of the lower leaves to give it more of a water lily shape. I've also cut off the stems on the bottom of those large purple ones so that they look like they're sitting in the water and not sitting on the end of a stem. Now we're going to glue the napkins to the pot once we've used the water method to get them firmly on the sides and sitting down really flat. I start with a watered down mixture of Mod Podge. The reason I wanted watered down is because it's a thinner consistency and it will soak through the napkin onto the pot. And I also not only go over the napkin, but I go over the whole white area so that every bit is covered with the glue, and it gives it a consistent look. And then once that's dry, you come back with a colour that goes well with that napkin, and I'm painting the rim. Now the rim, I paint the under part of the rim first by turning the pot upside down, going round that edge, and then I turn it over and I'm doing the side of the rim, as you can see, getting a good thick coverage there. I think I go over that about twice in order to make sure it's an even coat. And I also do the top of the rim, but that's an optional extra. You don't have to do that top bit there. It's up to you. Some people go down inside to that first bump inside. As you can see, there's a ledge there. Some people paint down to that ledge, but I like some terracotta showing. To complete this scene, I'm going to add some water under the frogs and around the flowers, and I'm putting down titanium white and harbour blue, and I'll mix those two together to get a lighter blue. And I'm just going to have a couple of colours of blue that I'm going to sort of put together in little lines of colour in order to make that water look as though it's a little bit ripply and uneven. As you can see, I'm just using a small round brush. The size will be appearing on the screen above, and I'm just painting in and behind the frogs. The other thing is I need to add some water lilies, so I've put some shamrock green down and forest green, and I'm mixing those two together to make a mid-green tone. And I'm going over some of the foliage that's already there, the green foliage, to just extend a couple of the stems on the flowers. Then I'm adding white and shamrock together to make a nice light green, and I'm doing oval shapes under the frogs and under those large water lilies to make the lily pads. And the oval shape has a triangular chunk cut out of it, just like water lilies look. And I'm completely colouring that in with the light green to start with, and going over all the places I believe the water lilies will be sitting. Once I've done that, I'll allow that to dry while I complete the water. And I'll come back with the two tones of blue and just do little lines of blue until there's no white left. It's all blue between the water lilies. After I've finished all the after I've finished all that water, I'm going to come back with dark green lines that radiate out from the center of the water lily to the edges in all directions to give it more of effect of looking like a lily pad. And I'll do a dark green around the edge of the lily pad as well to make it stand out from the water. And then I might just put some splashes of a mid green in between those lines on the lily pad, just to give some texture and variation to those water lilies. This is a very naive, it's not a perfectly detailed picture, so you don't need a lot of drawing and painting skills or shading skills to do this. Now here's the pot finished, and the last thing I would do, and I'm not showing it in this video, is to either pick a matte or a gloss sealer to go over the top of that, and I would coat it inside and out, and that would protect the napkin and the paint. The other thing is this is an inside pot. Unless you've got an outdoor sealant, I would keep this indoors. Check out my other napkin videos that are appearing on the screen now. You might find some more interesting projects to have a play with.